So many of these entities, like the IMF, I won't say the Bank of International Settlements, but the IMF and ECB, they like to use these guises against the people to pretend like they care about the people when they are the same ones that have been crushing the people. They are the same ones who have been taking advantage of the individuals on the bottom and countries that are on the come up. They're rising. They've been doing it for a long time. So that's why that's important. We're going to get into some of that. Either if not in this video, then we're definitely going to get into it in the members only video for sure, which is going to be, we're going to get into some deep stuff over there. In my humble opinion, it's going to be a potent one. Now, let's start here because Ripple has been going insane. They've been doing a great job. I like what they're doing. I can't wait for XRP to explode. Quant, XLM. But let's begin here. Now, this little tidbit is titled Swiss Root RippleNet Adapter. Swiss Root. Now, keep in mind, remember we were talking about Credit Suisse and all their problems as of recent? And look at who's been working behind the scenes to ensure, because they had the vision to see that the problem was going to occur, but working behind the scenes for years to ensure that there will be liquidity if ever a crisis did occur. Ripple, XRP is in there. And the Credit Suisse problem could, doesn't mean it will, but could snowball out of control into one of the biggest problems the world has ever seen. We'll get into that a little bit later, but let's read this little tidbit. The Swiss Root service has been developed by Ibis Management Associates in partnership with Finastra to provide institutions with connectivity to globally trusted payment gateways. With Swiss Root as your adapter to connect to the modern banking world, you can connect multiple banks through a single secure channel. Once connected, you can streamline and automate your business flows by communicating with your banking partners using global standardized ISO and proprietary format messages. Now, our exclusive offering includes Ripple connectivity. XRP is in there. With the practicality and flexibility of having multiple cross-border payment solutions, they can do much more than that, by the way. Keep that in mind. On-demand liquidity is patented. Remember, I said before, if anyone wants to use on-demand liquidity, they have to go through us. That's what a patent means, or else we wouldn't need a patent. Anybody could just use on-demand liquidity. Anybody could just build it. No, they can't. They have to go through XRP. So somewhere behind the scenes, somewhere in the engine of all things, XRP is going to be running things, connecting everything. They can't get around it, and that's a beautiful thing. It says the flexibility of having multiple cross-border payment solutions and Ripple in your pocket. There are no more limitations to your banking possibilities. With Swiss Root RippleNet TM adapter, processing transactions through RippleNet TM will be easier, offering an out-of-box integration. And then it goes into what is RippleNet. Now let's go forward a little bit right here. This is all crucial to understanding why these things are going to explode, how close we are. Now, unfortunately, the collapsing or partial collapse of the systems will lend to the rising of these particular bank coins, their explosion into possible generational wealth. It's not financial advice, okay? Let's read this little article here on fortune.com. Now that article we just went over, it was recommended to me in like Twitter because of the things that I search for on Twitter at times. That's how I came by way of that one. Then I immediately said to myself, let me do another search for some updates on Credit Suisse, because I know we covered that recently, their possible problems and collapse. It says, what is happening at Credit Suisse? Key questions at the heart of the turmoil being compared to a potential Lehman moment. If that happens, my goodness, strap on your blazers, your jackets, like what I'm wearing right here. This is kind of a nice jacket. I like this a little bit. And that was kind of random, but I do. It feels real good. But if that happens, our assets, the ones that are liquidity providers, instant liquidity, on-demand liquidity, if they have positioned themselves correctly, and we see that Ripple is in the mix here, they will explode. Keep in mind, if XRP explodes, XLM will explode. It always happens that way. They are tethered together, no pun intended. So let's go here. Key questions at the heart of turmoil being compared to a potential Lehman moment. Credit Suisse is back in headlines, and once again, it's for all the wrong reasons. Now, do you all remember the Lehman Brothers incident? You know, I believe they were a bank, and they completely imploded so rapidly. It was devastating to everyone involved and a lot of individuals who were not involved. It was horrible. Now, with Credit Suisse, it would be much bigger than that. The entirety of the financial system would be dealt a huge and hefty blow. So they're trying to find a way to remedy that at this particular time without it taking everybody down. It would be a domino effect. If Credit Suisse were to go bankrupt or have they're running towards a liquidity crisis, but have a liquidity crisis, there would be a domino effect involved. Now, if you've kept up with the Credit Suisse issue, they've been trying to bring in another bank. I can't remember what bank it is. There's another bank they're trying to merge with Credit Suisse, or absorb them rather, so they can avoid the problem. The question is, will that other bank want to take on that burden and liability? I know I wouldn't. Now, why? I'm trying to think of a situation to compare this to, but if you remember when FTX was buying everything in sight, right? So I think, did they buy Celsius? They were thinking about buying Celsius, Voyager, something like that. Now, one of them, I believe they actually did purchase, but they lost money on that. It was a bad purchase. They didn't see any return on investment for that. Now, they thought the outcome would be different, but because you're dealing with such a radical situation, there's so many unknown variables, there's no way to really know how it's going to shake out. Even if everything is in your favor, you know, certain factors could come into play, and I believe that they did. And there were some articles recently with the heads of FTX talking about how maybe they shouldn't have made that decision. I'm paraphrasing, of course, but you can find all this on the internet yourself. But what I'm saying is, why would a thriving organization want to merge or absorb one that's going under, and it's their competition, and on top of that, they're a liability because you don't really know what's going on internally. You can't, and there's not enough time to see that. But the other banks are pressuring this one bank to absorb or merge with Credit Suisse. You can look that up for yourself. So this is something we're going to keep an eye on, because Ripple could always step in. They could activate on-demand liquidity, provide a liquidity cushion, and that price would explode. Do your own research. That price would explode. They would have to hold XRP. That would take a lot of other banks to pool their money into XRP to provide such a liquidity cushion. That's what on-demand liquidity is. They haven't flipped the switch yet. So theoretically speaking, if they wanted to save Credit Suisse by using on-demand liquidity, there would have to be, out of necessity, a partial flipping of the switch to provide the liquidity cushion. Do you know how much liquidity Credit Suisse would need? It would be astronomical, which means, I think logically, there would have to be a partial flipping of the switch, which would mean what for XRP? That means that price would raise a toe, a little light raise. Well, a light raise a toe. The price of XRP would explode. But you see where I'm going here? Man, okay, so now let's continue here forward to some of these articles that we have here. This is on CoinGate.com, and it's titled, "Here's why XRP's price is set to extend its recovery by 12%. We're doing very good right now. The XRP price rises for the 6th consecutive day, registering a 17% growth. This bull run with substantial volume rise encourages buyers to break the neckline resistance of a double bottom pattern. Thus, a bullish breakout from the 51-cent resistance level should further bolster price recovery and push XRP USDT pair to higher levels. The XRP price follows a rounding bottom pattern." Listen, it's doing very well for a variety of reasons. The legal case is going well. People see the partnerships, and more people are talking about the partnerships. They're excited about the the definitiveness of the deals that XRP is bringing to the table, or Ripple is bringing to the table, rather. They're excited about a bevy of bank coins. You know, of course, there's always going to be a lot of fudders and hatred. I've seen that a lot when it comes to Quant lately, HBAR. But a lot of people are coming around to the truth about XRP, the truth about XLM, the truth about Algorand. I've never seen so much Algorand love. So I'm very happy about that people are coming to the realization that these things are key. They are essential to the new financial system. Now, if you watch that last video I put out before YouTube, I mean, I'm not the only one. They have made the monetization button disappear for thousands of content creators. Makes me scratch my chin a little bit. But the video I put out before they did such a thing, I was covering the fact that Algorand put out a post talking about the new financial system and how they're a part of building this new financial system. While the day before, Ripple put out a post on Ripple.com about how they are crucial, or rather essential, to building the new financial system. There are no coincidences. There is no chances, but cause and effect unrecognized. We know this. All of it is coming together. Slowly, you're starting to see. So, although it's very exciting, I love to see green. I do. And if people need to take profits, then these are good times when things go green. You have a little bit of a run and people can scrape a little bit off the top, make some money. I'm a firm believer in making money in every way possible, the top and the bottom, but also build something for yourself. That's why I've been pushing certain information a lot in the members only section. Make sure you scroll over there, scroll down the members only section so you can see some of the posted content, not just the members only videos. There's a lot more over there, okay? But you have to go to my channel to actually see that. Unfortunately, that's just the way YouTube does it. I don't know if they send notifications out or not. They don't tell me that at all, so I don't know. However, build on the blockchain. You can do it. You can build dApps if you choose to, not advice. Build on the blockchain. Strengthen your businesses. Some of you have small businesses, big businesses. Strengthen your businesses with the blockchain, the DLTs. You can benefit from them in more ways than one. NFTs and things like that. Now, make sure you know, I also made a post over there about the clarifications because I had a question. I've been answering a lot of questions as of late. But they've been very, very good. And one of them was about the clarity of NFTs and them not being securities. There's a specific type of NFT that's not a security. But go over to that members only section and you can read the exact details so I don't have to paraphrase, okay? And you can read it from authorities. But you can sell NFTs, things like that. Like diversify. One would be wise to diversify the ways that they can make money, and opportunities are there. And the time would be now before all the rest of the world, all of these traditional institutions flood into crypto and take it over. And they will. And then the prices will skyrocket. The industries will shift completely. Like what works today and what the prices are today and what, and just going on NFTs, the type of art that sells today will not be what it is when the institutions step in. I'm telling you now. Okay, so now let's continue on here. We have another article here. XRP records largest network growth in months. It is astounding what we have been doing. XRP's price suddenly gained more than 5%, while the top cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin and Ethereum traded 2.3% and 1.93% respectively. At the time of publication, XRP was changing hands at 51 cents, up 5.171% in the last 24 hours. Everything is looking very good. You've seen the corridors we're setting up. Another thing I wanted to mention, I didn't get to talk about this in the last video, but there is a lot happening in the United Arab Emirates, okay, the MENA region. There's a lot going on. Listen, there's a lot going on with oil across the board. Actually, there was another article I didn't cover where in South America, there's starting to be some issues with oil production. They have been maxed out for a lot of reasons, and they've been making good money, by the way. So it's not bad that they've maxed out when it comes to their own profit, but it's bad that they've maxed out considering how many of the Western countries are begging for oil. And right now they're making so much good money trading with Some of the Arabic regions, China, Russia, because remember the BRICS nations, they have good ties. That's only going to grow. Then you have OPEC. OPEC said, listen, we're not increasing production. Matter of fact, we're going to decrease oil production. So you have all of that going on. So now keep in mind, pair that with the fact that, and I said this before, pair that with the fact that SWIFT, no one's going to want to use SWIFT in the future. It is a weapon. This is what I've been trying to tell people. There's a lot of people still listen to fudders that say, oh, SWIFT, it doesn't need XRP. People don't need XRP anymore. That is nonsense. Nonsense. Nobody's going to be willing to use a weapon that's going to be used like a leash around their neck and control them and constrain what they can do, how much profit they can make. That's not going to happen in the future. No, that's why you see so many of them running towards CBDCs and cryptocurrencies. Right now, they're just using cryptocurrencies outright. Did you see that? They're not even using, they're not even waiting for CBDCs. They're using crypto. So then that's why another reason why a lot of these regulators are jumping on top of crypto's neck right now. It all makes sense, doesn't it? Well, a lot of that value, going back to the oil situation, a lot of that value, I anticipate a lot of that value is going to move through crypto, through the bank coins, especially in the future. And I'll tell you why, because being that the alliances are driving a wedge, so NATO and such, and, then you have the BRICS nations, that wedge is growing bigger and bigger. I expect NATO to begin pressuring certain nations to not do trades with certain other entities, right? I'll just put it like that. If that happens, those other nations, those countries, those oil producers can say, you know what? We're not going to listen to you. But if they do that, they can't use SWIFT. They can't use SWIFT. Then you need liquidity in order to make those transfers like this. Boom, 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 boom. No one's going to want to use a system that's similar to an outdated system that also could be used to constrain you, because then you have to have money locked up in that system. No, nobody wants that anymore. So now, if we're going to move forward, the idea, well, this is what I'm reading in a lot of documents. The idea would be, if we're going to move forward, let's move forward in the right way. Let's move forward in every possible way, not just in one by shirking SWIFT. No, let's move forward without having to pre-fund accounts, instant liquidity, on-demand liquidity. We're in charge of the value, and it gets there almost instantaneously, which is another reason why, strengthening the security of all of these bank coins has been a great thing to do, and speeding them up a bit, making them more scalable has been a great thing, because trillions of dollars stand to flow through them, and we want them to. By doing that, we ensure in the future that that money is going to flow through. So you have Ripple. Remember, we covered that article over the summer. Ripple is deep in the Arab region, especially with the United Arab Emirates. And who is producing out of there? We're talking about, okay, so that's another thing. I want to say this. I don't think people understand how much money flows through the United Arab Emirates. You understand that they don't even calculate, they don't even try to add that value up anymore. They're so, people think Elon Musk is wealthy, and he is. But compared to a lot of the princes and stuff like that, and kings, or however they put that, in the Arabic world, his wealth is nothing. Their wealth is so much that they are, if you were to add all of the value up that they actually have, it has to be close to the trillions at the least. We're talking oil money. You understand? Okay, I'm going to leave that alone, but I know there's a lot of other brilliant minds that will be speaking on that in the coming months and year. That's going to be a hot issue. The oil is going to be a hot issue. So you're going to hear it from others who are going to lay it out for you a little bit clearer. But because of that, there's so much value, not just money. Because the value of oil, I believe everything's going to be tokenized. We got to go back to that. That value will flow across the bank coins. That's why the bank coins have been getting so close to them. So you have Algorand is deep with the United Arab Emirates, correct? Then you have, and I'm not sure if that's directly from Algorand Foundation. I think it might be via Quant Banks, actually. Quant Banks is such a brilliant institution. They're deep in Africa also. Another region where there's going to be minerals and oil, all types of things tokenized. That's going to be trillions of dollars flowing across the bank coins if everything continues to go according to plan. Keep that in mind. Now, with all of that being said, what does it do to that price logically? Everything I said, you can look up. Everything I said, everything I've spoken on, you can see with your own eyes, okay? Now, when you take those amounts and you do your own equations, what does it do to that price? Now, so, moving on here. My goodness, I have like maybe 13 tabs open. I only got through 4 of them. We're in for a hefty one, folks, but good to be back here, you know, spending some time with you, giving you some, I hope this is quality information, give you some good information here. So now, Cardano founder says XRP should be regulated as commodity. Here's why. Let's scroll down, read this little tidbit here. This is from the esteemed Charles Hoskinson, of course, a very brilliant individual, can be very caustic at the same time. Charles Hoskinson loves an argument, holy smokes, but a brilliant individual indeed. And I do expect Cardano, which is a utility coin. They have great utility when they, if they continue to work with ScanTrust for traceability. That's going to be huge, by the way, especially if they take that traceability like Algorand has done. I believe, is it Algorand or is it XDC? One of them is being utilized as a traceability protocol within the medical industry. That's all I'm going to say on that. That's going to be huge, by the way. Trust me on this. And I have inside sources on this one. I'm going to hold that. I'm going to hold back on that one. But trust me, this is going to be huge. If everything goes according to plan, that will be huge. We'll discuss that a little bit more another time. Now, in a recent series of tweets, founder of IOG and Cardano, Charles Hoskinson, decided to clarify his stance on the SEC lawsuit against Ripple Labs, saying that he has been quote, hit hard by some members of the XRP army for his comments on Ripple's issues with the securities regulator. Yeah, but to be fair, Hoskinson is very he doesn't love anything but Cardano. But I get that. You understand that, right? You ever had like when you're younger, Sega Genesis and Nintendo? Remember those wars? And everybody that had Sega thought Sega was the best. And everyone that had Nintendo thought the Nintendo was the best. So what's yours, you tend to favor more than what is not yours, what's someone else's. That's like Cardano. Cardano to Hoskinson, that's his baby. That's his creation. So he's going to favor that. So he's not going to speak. Don't expect him to speak kindly on everything else. He sort of has a warrior mind state. But if he didn't have that mind state, he wouldn't have had the fire in his belly to go forward with building something as ambitious as Cardano. I do believe Cardano is going to explode in price in the future. I believe they're going to do some great things, in my humble opinion. A myriad of them. I look at Cardano, you wanted me to be completely honest with you, and I don't hold any Cardano right now. I took profit long ago. So I don't hold any Cardano at all. And right now I'm good on what I hold. I don't expect to carry any in the future either, unless something dramatically changes. But I look at Cardano almost the same way I look at Algorand. I do. Like, they have that potential, in my humble opinion. They have that potential. But, you know, we'll wait until the future to see if they actuate on that potential. Like Algorand has taken off. They've done so many different things. Cardano's time, I know they've done some things, but their time is to come, in my humble opinion. We'll see how it goes. But let's continue on here. He does not believe that XRP is a security, and this suit against Ripple is absurd, and that XRP should be regulated as a commodity. Most Layer 1 protocols aren't securities, says Charles Hoskinson. They are commodities. Cardano founder wrote that he believes the majority of Layer 1 protocols, which includes XRP, are not securities, since they offer utility and have a sufficient degree of decentralization in them. Plus, they passed the Howey test, which shows whether an asset is a security or not. Thank you so much, Mr. Charles Hoskinson. I love it when brilliant minds speak on these things with clarity of mind. And, you know, this shows, in my humble opinion, most brilliant people can see that these are commodities, but it shows the corruption, in my humble opinion, of the SEC. Gary Gensler once spoke the same way about XRP until he became a part of the SEC. There is so much corruption there, is unbelievable. It's just my humble opinion. Basically, Hoskinson believes XRP to be a commodity, likening it to oil and even baseball cards. Yes, it's the same way. However, he warns if you try to securitize oil or cards, you have, quote, obvious issues and information asymmetries, which is not what has happened. Hoskinson admits that cryptocurrencies do need regulations. We all agree on that. So there you have it. Charles Hoskinson says XRP is not a security, should be regulated as a commodity. I agree with that, of course, and I do believe also ADA is also the same way, you know. So now, oh, well, I already covered a lot about oil. We actually have an article here. Brazil's Eneva vying for northeastern oil and gas field. Once more, I'm telling you, there's going to be a lot of value moving through the bank coins because of things like this, because they want to move oil in certain ways, oil value rather, in certain ways, and also because of traceability. They want to know where that oil is going. Everyone does. And the allies, the different sides of allied nations, they're going to want to know, where's this oil going? What happened to the oil at this particular time? You saw what happened to that pipeline, didn't you? Right? So, I mean, there's going to be so many different ways to utilize this technology, like tracking what's going on in the area around certain oil tankers, oil fields. They're going to want to know that as well. What vehicles were there? What people were there? Everything with QR codes. It's already becoming that way. You walk into a store, they got QR codes at the front desk. It's just people aren't using them yet. On all the little cards that people hand out on the streets in the cities, QR codes on them. If you want to know this information, scan the QR code. On the TVs now, some of them. Yeah, commercial, QR codes on a commercial. I scan this little QR code. They're everywhere. So I don't know how they're going to do it in the future. It's going to be more advanced in my humble opinion, but I'm pretty sure a lot of these businesses will have people that have just a little device that they can scan QR codes. People might have a QR code on their arm, QR code on this barrel of oil, QR code on the ship, because it'll track everything. Who was where, what was where, at what time, when did it go, when did it come out the ground, things of that nature. And it's not only that, it will be the same way with carbon. That'll be a little bit more difficult, but I'm pretty sure they have their ways of tracking how much carbon you're going to be putting out. They're going to tax that. I'm telling you now, that's what this is all about. They're going to tax you. It's all about money. So, Brazil energy company Eneva 3 is evaluating the acquisition of an equity stake in IBV Brazil Petróleo Limited, or the purchase of a direct minority interest in an oil and gas field off the coast of Sergipe. I'm not sure how to pronounce that. My apologies. And Alagoas. According to a securities filing on Saturday, there you have it. There's going to be a lot of mergers, a lot of new alliances formed, business partnerships formed. Let's move on to here. India is set to issue pilot of e-rupee. Now, if you remember, they had put this off for a while because they had a problem. But remember, I believe India was the country that was trying to partner with Consensus, and then they had a lot of issues. It didn't function properly, and so they put it on hold until now. So let's read this little tidbit here. And that's when I was saying I felt like HBAR could step in or Ripple could step in, and we'll wait to see who is going to be backing this. But let's read this little tidbit here. The RBI's FinTech department released a document on Friday, October the 7th, detailing two proposed models of a central bank digital currency. The central bank is looking at both a retail CBDC for consumers and businesses and a wholesale CBDC aimed at streamlining interbank transfers and other wholesale transfers. According to reports, the RBI has established an internal working group to make recommendations on the CBDC's design and testing. Okay, so didn't I say before? I said this before. That means they're not going to go with Consensus. I said this before. Consensus, with all due respect, Ethereum is not made for CBDCs. And now you see it. And they're not the only ones that had a problem with a CBDC that they were trying to build on Consensus, on Ethereum. You have to go with a pure through and through bank coin like XRP or XLM. Actually, XLM would be great for them, to be quite honest. And I believe one of our bank coins did have some dealings in India. I think it was Algorand. I think Algorand was in there. So the RBI has established an internal working group to make recommendations on CBDC's design and testing. Although two different concepts are detailed, each pilot will start by building the currency with technology partners based on the findings from the working group. Okay, so there you have it. Following the recommendations, CBDCs will be tested in a sandbox environment to evaluate their design and functionality. Thereafter, the central bank said it will test the resilience of the CBDCs by exposing them to stressful scenarios and will then assess the results. According to the report, if test outcomes are met, the RBI will commence a pilot of the CBDC. All right, so we need to do a little bit more digging in here and find out the inner workings of the CBDC. But nonetheless, it still tells us that all of these CBDCs, all the banks are getting ready. There's a huge push that has been happening. We have bear witness to it. And that sooner rather than later, all of these CBDCs will be rolled out, which will greatly affect Hedera, Algorand, Quant, XRP, XLM, all these bank coins, all right? And this is very good, which means we don't have to wait a super long time. Of course, I'm still sticking to that same timeline, 3 to 5 years. That's what they said. But even that's, I think it can happen a little bit quicker. So Ripple did say 4 years. Maybe this is why they said 4 years, because everything is speeding up. World catastrophes in the financial system are speeding up. You have that. World crushing debt. You have that. The banks want liquidity. They need liquidity. There's a liquidity crisis. They need that. There's so many different things. The tokenization of everything, right? Making easeability and access to greater value, to corridors that were not accessible before. All of these things are happening so fast. The realizations are also coming very quickly for a lot of these higher position individuals, I believe. So this is, so yes, I believe it could happen a little bit faster, but the fastest I'm going to put on is about 4 years. 4 years. I mean, Ripple said 4 years. I think maybe this is why. This is a little bit shorter than Bank of International Settlements and IMF. Ripple advises the IMF. They're on the advisory board. So Ripple would know better. They would know better about the timeline than the central banks. That's how I feel. Of course, there is always the human aspect. You have to educate your workers on how to use the new systems. That's always going to be an issue as well. So now let's move here to a little bit of XLM news. So it says here, Stellar XLM still contemplating to join the green part. Will price give in? XLM price shows could be ready for a major boost as the price remains bullish with good volume and strength. Next bullet point. XLM trades above support as the price aims to continue its trend movement as the price keeps holding above 8 and 20-day EMA. The price of XLM eyes a rally to 14 cents as the price breaks out of an ascending triangle with more buy orders. Listen, with regulatory clarity, once they open up the floodgates and people are able to send money around the world and all of these other businesses step in and they begin to build on the Stellar blockchain, that will happen rapidly. That will happen in mass, in my humble opinion. And all those accounts have to hold some XLM in order to have an account, in order to have a wallet. Then XLM is used for transaction fees and friction, right? So quote unquote bad actors can't do bad things. That's what it's supposed to do, right? Then you have surge pricing, right? Then also never forget that people can take allotments of XLM. It's decentralized. Anybody can use XLM. Never forget that. So they can take an allotment of XLM and put it into a closed ecosystem. That's great. Take that and go. It makes XLM in the circulating supply more rare, correct? Right? And that price would go up. It would raise. It would go up. Right? So you have all of these different things. Never forget the banks that are rolling stable coins. So stable coins flowing across Stellar, causing friction, causing congestion. The XLM is used for transaction fees, surge pricing because of congestion. When there's more congestion, the price goes up. No, there's no limitation. At least they didn't tell us on what the limitation is for the price to go. How high it can go, they never said, right? And then you have all this volume flowing across Stellar. What does it do to that price? If CBDCs get rolled out, and as you see, they have a meeting coming up, they're still going to be having meetings with Ukraine, the central bank from Ukraine. You can't think that that's the only bank that's going to be using Stellar blockchain. No, they're just the only ones that have made the announcement. In my humble opinion, I think we have some announcements in the future with regulatory clarity and with the defeat of the SEC by Ripple. All the bank coins are sort of behind Ripple right now, hoping they have a victory because it will provide clarity for most of the bank coins, right? But what does it do to that price when central banks roll a CBDC out or a stable coin out on the Stellar blockchain? What does it do to that price if that were to happen? We already have a few that were utilizing Stellar. So we had the oldest bank in Europe roll their stable coin out on Stellar, right? Was it I can't remember the name of the, it was a German name of the bank. I can't remember the name of the bank, but it's the oldest bank in Europe, rolled their stable coin out on Stellar blockchain. But you can't think that that's where that's going to stop. Then you also have Ukraine wanting to roll their CBDC out on it. That's still going to happen. At least that's what it seems to be. And that's another thing that I would like to discuss in the future, because there's a lot of big money goes through Ukraine. It's not something a lot of people want to talk about. It's not something like a lot of the value that flows through certain countries and certain regions. It's transitory. So it doesn't oftentimes get attributed to them, but they're used as a waypoint. A lot of times they're used as a waypoint via proxies, right? So it just kind of just moves on through there. But there's a lot of value that moves through Ukraine. Also, they can use a lot of these bank coins, well, in particular, XLM Stellar, if they wanted to, Stellar blockchain as a traceability protocol. It does have that capacity. It can be utilized in any way that they want, as long as you build on it, right? In a certain way. Everybody will use these bank coins in different ways. But they also have a lot of resources that come out of the Ukraine, right? So we got to touch lightly on that. They don't like to talk about that. But traceability will be huge there as well. If you know what's been happening with a lot of ships, well, yeah, we don't want to discuss that right now. Let's continue on here. So Ripple is going to be having their Ripple Swell very soon. And they have a lot of interesting speakers coming here. I believe they're going to have even more speakers to be announced, in my humble opinion. Ripple Swell 2020. This was posted the other day. Let's take a look at some of these speakers here. They have someone from the Bank of America here. So you have Jordan Lambert of MasterCard will be speaking. You have Derek Walton of Bank of America, head of GTS Emerging Payments and Innovation. And Bank of America has worked both with Stellar. They won a contest with Stellar XLM, and they have been very, very deeply involved with Ripple and rained praise upon Ripple as well. And now you have the Derek Walton of Bank of America will be speaking there. I expect a lot of good information to be coming out in Ripple Swell. Look at some of these people. Hi-Ha CEO Diane Nguyen. Then you have of Amazon Web Services, you have Xiaoxin Zhang, Global Head of Innovation and GTM of Amazon Web Services. Look how deep they go. This is going to be huge. Ripple is, they're just showing you a little bit, and even that little bit is mighty. They have Scott Beck of United Texas Bank. Who else did Texas show interest in when they had a meeting at the government, at a congressional meeting? Stellar. There was a high-ranking official that wanted to talk to Denell Dixon some more after they had that panel. The bank coins will do great when it comes to working with the states. In my humble opinion, there will be a lot of value flowing out of the states into the bank coins, in my humble opinion. We're going to end off with a little bit of quant news. So it says here, and this is from Gilbert Verdian himself. Central bank digital currencies have been gaining momentum worldwide. We know that. 19 G20 nations actively exploring this new form of money that digitally represents fiat currency using blockchain technology, because they have to. Their survival is on the line. Their financial systems are in a state of collapse. Their monetary policy is absolutely terrible. Also, money goes missing all over the place. Their customers' information is getting hacked and stolen at a dramatic rate. They've been freezing people's accounts. They have a liquidity crisis. When people go to the banks to get their money, a lot of them can't even get their money out. If there's even a semblance of a bank run, the ATMs mysteriously run out of money. What is going on with their system? The system is collapsing. While countries see clear benefits, each jurisdiction will have a unique set of economic drivers when considering CBDC option. Yes, and that's also why each one will need a different type of CBDC. And that's why interoperability is so important, because they will all require something different depending on their circumstance. So they'll need to work with an Algorand for something specific. They'll need to work with a Stellar because they accommodate them. They need to work with a Ripple because they accommodate this type of circumstance. They're all going to be different. And there's enough money to go around. I keep telling everyone that. There's enough money to go around. They'll need Quant if they want to link the legacy system to the new financial system. There will be banks that are just completely digital. They're already like that. I think the biggest digital bank in South America is in Brazil, correct? Right. So there will be fully digital banks. However, they still will need interoperability with the legacy system if they should so choose to transact with them. And I think that they will, because why would you cut yourself off from that value? So what I'm saying is there's enough money to go around. All of the bank coins, in my humble opinion, will be utilized to different degrees for different reasons. They'll all reach different prices, but they will explode. Not financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor, okay? I'm not trying to shift you this way or that way. Believe what you want. Make your own decisions, all right? I'm just putting this down. These are my thoughts from what I have read. So let's continue on here. It says, yet CBDCs hold the potential to vastly improve the domestic and cross-border payments infrastructure, support unbanked populations. They continue to emphasize that. They want that extra value. That's another thing. They see that, how I see it, as money on the table. They want to access it. They have tried for a long time and have been rejected. They can't weave their way into certain regions. It's just not possible, and those regions will reject them. But they need a way, sort of a proxy, if you will, for that value to be able to flow out of those areas. Once the value can flow out of those areas, they feel that they can jump on top of that. They feel that they can capitalize, and they can. They've already showed you what their intention is with DeFi. It gives you some pause. It gives you some time, something to think about when you think about DeFi. Now, DeFi will always be there, but the banks are starting to learn how to capitalize on DeFi. I don't know if I'm saying that eloquently, but that's the best way I can explain it. So they want that value to flow no matter what. Once it's flowing, they feel like they can capitalize on the river. It says, and provide more opportunities for financial inclusion. Once more, the financial inclusion is not how they make it sound. Like, we want to bring you in to help you. It's not about helping the people. They want to include themselves into that value that you're not letting them access. They want in, and they see a way in. So now let's continue on here. Last but certainly not least, we have this article here on quant.net where there's been a lot of important information coming out. They have this event coming up called CBOS, right? And they put out a guide. Quant put out a guide on quant.net and it's titled Your Guide to CBOS 2022 by Andrew Carrier. Let's read this little tidbit here. There's going to be a lot of information coming out towards the end of this year. It's going to be crucial to knowing how high the price of a bank coin can go. CBOS, the world's premier financial services event, takes place in Amsterdam from 10/13 October 2022. In anticipation, we have written a guide to the conference, which this year puts digital assets very much at the center stage. Although something of an anachronism to the upstarts aiming to blaze a path in the established world of banking, to those of us who started our careers at financial institutions, CBOS retains its crown as the most important event of the year. This is going to be huge. CBOS is where global banks, Quant is here. Quant is there. Do you not see? CBOS is where global banks, market infrastructures, large corporates, nobody is small here, governments, regulators, and investment firms, as well as the fintechs, Quant, fintechs that serve them. I hate how they put that. Serve them, and the journalists and analysts who cover them convene in the name of advancing critical dialogue. And this year, as decentralized finance makes tangible inroads into the world of traditional finance, that dialogue feels more critical than ever, and it will be. The information that comes out of this panel, this event in particular, is going to be so powerful. We have to get our hands on it. Hopefully they're going to put out some transcripts. Hopefully they're going to put out some PDFs. There are a lot of powerful events coming up. Meridian, Ripple Swell, CBOS. This is when, after these are done, this is when the season of information really kicks up. Those are the important documents we need to get our hands on. It's going to tell us a lot. So I'm looking forward to this. This is going to be unbelievable. It says, that's why Quant's senior team, We'll be in Amsterdam. You know, their senior team is full of heavy hitters. We'll be in Amsterdam for the conference, meeting clients. We're going to make some more deals. Quant is going to explode. We're going to make some more deals. Meeting clients, talking with partners, and adding our voice to the conversation. Oh, they tend to roar when Quant speaks. Adding our voice to the conversation that must drive our industry forward, but with more than 150 sessions, 250 speakers, wow, and 8 stages. SIBOs can seem a daunting sea to navigate. We're here to help steer the ship. So they even want to take control. Do what it is that you do best, Quant. My goodness. So this is an exciting time of the year coming up. And I can't wait to comb over those documents. We're going to rip them apart. So now that you have that information, what are you going to do with it? I know I'm going to do with it. So until next time, let's get to the money.